Welcome to the Leveraged and Loving It podcast, business advice for coaches and thought leaders. And now your host, Renee Hasseldine.
Welcome back to another episode of Leveraged and Loving It. I'm Renee Hasseldine, and on today's episode, we are joined by the founder of the podcast booking agency Experts on Air, Melanie Colling. Welcome to the show.
Yay! Hey, Renee. Thank you so much for having me. Awesome to be here.
So great to have you here. And, you know, what I love about what Melanie is doing is that she has tuned into her zone of genius, which is connecting people. So in the same way that I think about models and I hear someone speak and I'm like, shuffle, 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 and turning it into pictures, Melanie walks into a room and, you know, sees someone and says, oh, you need to talk to this person. And she's totally built her business on that because that's what she does with her podcast booking agency. She finds a guest and she matches them up with a host, and it's like, oh, matchmaking, and turning it into a business. I love it.
And it's so much fun.
Business is so much fun when you just play in your zone of genius, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think that's the key, isn't it? If you're not having fun, then you know that's not your zone of genius. So get out and go find what is.
Back to the drawing board.
Exactly. Yeah, been there a few times.
Yeah. Oh, God, tell me about it. Yeah. I did things the hard way for the first 15 or 16 years. So yeah, I totally understand.
It's a journey.
When you know, right? When once you hit it, it's just this buzzy moment, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, it's the goosebump moment or that light bulb moment, like Oprah says.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go back, because you are a corporate refugee. Let's talk about your transition from corporate into running your own business. How did that come?
Yes. So I worked in the project management profession for like 20 plus years. And I was okay at it. Like, it's pretty good because, you know, got quite a few good jobs and, you know, paid quite well. So it was kind of hard to walk away, but I was doing all of these things on the side. So I always knew I wanted to have my own business. I always knew I wanted to do something else, and it wasn't working in corporate and project management. But I didn't know what it was. So, you know, I did all these kind of things. I sold handbags and Tupperware and Nutrimedics and, you know, I have even had an online wedding dress business. So random.
You had an online wedding dress business?
Yes.
Who does that? What? How
I know.
Hold on a second. Just take me back to the moment where you decided that was what you were doing.
Well, I saw it for sale and I'm like, that's quite a good idea. Like, you know, people spend thousands of money on a wedding dress. It's one day. You know, what do they need to do that for? You can just take the design, we'll make it for you. And, you know, it was called 999 wedding dresses. So they're all $999. I'm like, that's great. So I bought it. I'm like, oh, but I don't like the website. I don't like the logo. So changed everything, you know, as you do. Wasted all this time. And guess how many wedding dresses I sold?
3.
0. I sold none, and I stuffed around for so long because it's time versus money. Like, I didn't have the money, so I did it all myself. So I learned how to do a website and make a logo and, you know, all this cool stuff, but I didn't sell any product. So in the end, I'm like, I think I was with a mentor and I used to get on these calls and everybody on the call was like, oh my God, just do something with this wedding dress business. And they laugh at me now because some of them I'm still connected with, but I ended up selling it on eBay for a profit. So it was all good.
Well done. You sold a business on eBay.
Yeah. I sold the dream, the vision, what they could do with it.
Was it an auction or like set price? How did you do that? What?
Yeah, it was
That's genius.
set price.
I've never heard of anyone who sold a business on eBay. Hold on a second. Stop the presses. This is what?
I sold a business on eBay and I sold it for a profit. So I made more money in selling the business than actually selling any dresses.
That is the best story ever.
It's so
Okay,
hilarious.
so for any of you out there, this may be the hottest tip you get today.
Sell your business on eBay.
Sell it on eBay. If you're not selling any product, just sell the business on eBay.
That's right. And sell the vision and the dream that you had for it, but you're just not passionate about it now. So as part of that journey, I came across Roger Hamilton and Wealth Dynamics and doing your profile test. And so I came out a supporter, which is a people person. And here I am doing an online business with no people, right? And so
no wonder it was uphill, right?
Totally wrong business for me. And so, you know, even though I thought, I could make it work, it just was never going to work because it wasn't my zone of genius. So it was like, okay, this is someone else's baby, but I can sell them what it could have been, which is, you know, how they could make it theirs.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. And I sold it to a young girl who was teaching social media in TAFE. And she took it and ran with it and did really well. So
fantastic.
You know, it was her thing, not my thing.
And you know, and that just brings home as well a big lesson that I constantly see over and over again in business, which is there is no one size fits all model for business. Like something that totally works for you and you can thrive in and make a ton of money in may not work for me, or it may not be sustainable for me, because if it's not playing to my strengths and my zone of genius and the way that I work and I'm energized, then it's going to be exhausting. Like I think that really kind of came home for me with the national tours as well. Like after the 6th national tour, I was so exhausted because I'm a creator and an innovator, right? So 6 national tours for me, I was like, that's too long, me outside my zone of genius, right?
That's right, because
it was too much.
It's taking you away from doing your creation and innovation. And to energize yourself, you're both extrovert and introvert, and you need both of those things to energize. Yes. And so too much extrovert zaps your energy, and you really then need to go, okay, I need to just go, I need to go quiet for a while.
I hibernated 5 months.
Yeah, that's right. And so you're right. It's like your profile and what suits you. It's like, what are your goals and values, and where do you want to go, and how do you want to work? And that's different for everybody. And then you need to go, you know, is that for me or not? Which is why, you know, you're right. Like there's so many online courses, like follow this process and do this and whatever, but it's actually having a conversation with a person to say, who are you? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What strategy is right for you? Yeah. You know, and helping them work that out.
Yeah. So some people will totally thrive running those national tours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Because they're extrovert, they're people person, you know, they don't want to sit in front of a computer all day because that zaps their energy. They want to be in front of people. So that is the right thing to do. But yeah, it's not for everybody.
No. And I can totally get my dose because, you know, as he said, you know, I'm both. I'm ambivert, right? So I can get my people injection from running my podcast now. Yes. Right? Which is almost 3 years old.
Woo-hoo! Celebration.
So I can get that, and I do it all in one day because I like to do things in a batch record. Like I get like boom, 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 all the recording, and then I can just like go and chill out and hang out by myself for a while.
Yeah,
I like introvert time.
Yeah, and it's good. Like I saw you, how you set up your days now, which is super awesome, and it's all about a different energy on a different day, which you're not then tiring yourself or changing multiple energies each day, which is really tiring, like jumping from different tasks. Like you've batched to go, okay, I'm doing podcasts on one day, and then I'll do, you know, innovation on another day. And that's a different energy too. So, you know, you don't have to go podcasts and then innovation and, you know, all this kind of stuff where you're all over the place. It's really tiring.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, I don't know why it's taken me this long to just only nominate one day for talking to clients.
Yeah. Because you think you've got to do it every day, don't you?
You think you've got to have availability for clients. And it's like, actually, I'm not going to serve them the best if I'm just like doing one over here and one over there and one over here and one over there. Like it doesn't work for me.
Exactly. And you'll give them far more value if you are coming from the right headspace.
Yeah, because I know I get in the zone of, okay, we're doing models today.
Yes.
All about the models. Awesome. Okay, I'm in model zone.
Yeah.
And then, you know, okay, I'm in podcast zone today, or I'm in half day workshop zone, or I'm in play zone. Awesome. All right. So coming back to you. So you came across Roger Hamilton, and then what happened?
So I went and did a program that he has over in Bali, which is a business facilitation program called iLab, which is Bali backwards. So you're actually going through business, but that's what you think you're doing, but you're working on yourself. Tricky. So I did that, and I still had the wedding dress business, and then I did some mentoring with him, and then I'm like, I've just got to sell this business, which I did. And then I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do now? So created purpose-driven projects. And I did that in parallel. So I was doing full-time work and my business. And it got to the point where I'm like, okay, something's got to give here. I need to make a decision. And, you know, do I go backwards and like forget all this business stuff that I've done and just, you know, do my job, or do I give it a go? So, you know, I didn't want to stay in corporate, and I had an opportunity to go and work and live in Bali. with
Oh,
my
wow.
family. And so I could kind of jump ship a little bit. So I had some, steady income, lower cost of living, obviously living in Bali, could run my business there in parallel. So I went and did that. So I had the opportunity to go and host and then facilitate that same business accelerator in Bali that I'd done, which was awesome. And I got to meet all these cool people from around the world and, help them, build their plans and what were they going to do. And, because the outcome of it was they come with a plan that they can go and execute 3 months after to, make the money back that they've invested in the program. So it was awesome. My daughter went to school there. We lived on site in the resort. So it sounds like paradise. Sometimes it was, sometimes like I need to get out.
You do get a bit of cabin fever living in a place like that though, don't you?
Exactly. But it was so different to corporate, and it was my people. It was like people that were excited about doing what they do, wanting to give back, wanting to make a difference in the world. And it was, supporting them. So it was awesome. After 7 months, my family wanted to move back. They're like, we miss Australia. I'm like, really? I'm fine. So I got voted off the island.
Oh, God, family.
Damn. Yeah. So we came back, but it was a good stepping stone for me to go, okay, well, now I can sustain myself, run my business. We've now got the podcast booking agency, so Experts on Air. And Brett and I, he's my business partner in the booking agency, and we met on a mentoring call with Roger, and we had our own businesses, and we'd rock up and we'd give updates on how we were going, and we'd listen to each other. And he was doing sales and marketing funnels at the time, and I was doing promotion plans or project plans, and I'd be going, my people need him, so I'd refer to him, and then he's like, I don't want to project manage these people, so he would send them to me. And in the end, we're like, we should just work together. So we came together and we created Leverage Lab, and we did that for a while. Then we went off and did our own thing. And then we came back and we're like, well, he firstly said to me, we should do a podcast. And I was like, what's a podcast? About 3 years ago. And he's like, all you have to do is rock up and talk. And I'm like, awesome, I can do that.
I can talk underwater with a mouthful of marbles.
Exactly. So that's how he sold it to me. And then we were like, this podcasting thing's really cool and it's taking off. And so we created the booking agency together, which has been really cool. So it's playing to each of our strengths. Like he does the back end and all the technical system stuff. I do the connection and, find the guests and find the hosts and connect them up and do that. So it's really good. We kind of play to our strengths and come together and complement each other, which has been cool.
Nice. Love that. All right. So on to the topic for today then is 6 keys to becoming a connected and in-demand business leader. So before we get into that, because you do talk about the connection economy, what do you actually mean by that? What is the connection economy?
So the person that termed that or coined that phrase was Seth Godin. And I don't know whether you know Seth, but one of the biggest marketing gurus. And I just love him. Like he comes out with these gems and it's like, how does one person like come up with all this stuff out of his head? It's just amazing. But he talks about the connection economy being where we're moving from the industrial economy, products and manufacturing things, to the connection economy, which is all around relationships and, how do we connect with each other? And we've now got so much, technology at our fingertips. That it's so much easier to connect, but we're more disconnected.
Yes,
which is really bizarre.
Totally.
But business is all around building relationships and being connected. So how can you create connection in your business? And that's really what we should be focusing on rather than products and services. It's like building relationships and building connections. So that really resonated with me because that's what I do. And now that's how I help other people, like instead of writing a business plan, we should be writing a connection plan. It's like, you think you've got to go and find 1,000 people, but actually you probably know one person. If you had a conversation and said, this is what I'm doing, do you know anybody else that would benefit from that? And they would refer you and refer you and refer you. You might have 10 people that are the right people rather than going like that and then funneling down. So, there's all of these kind of things that we could just be, connecting to different people in different ways. And then, you've got to connect with clients differently to how you connect with partners and investors and team. So it's just having that strategy about who do I need to connect with? Where are they? How do I go and connect with them? Rather than going, oh, I need, this marketing strategy and, all of this stuff. I mean, that's great, but sometimes you don't need to get too complicated. Like keep it simple.
Yes.
I'm all for keeping it simple.
Yeah. And I find I go in through waves in my business as well, where I kind of like, I'm just going to do this one extra thing and this one thing and this one thing. And then suddenly the whole business is overcomplicated and it's grown into a beast. And it's like, okay, we need to now prune it all back and cut back all the fluff and come back just to the core again. Because it's easy to kind of get all the extra things that just kind of creep in over time, and then you clean it all up, come back to the core, and then it's like, oh, this is easy again.
That's right. And you feel more comfortable because, you can get too big and, like too many tentacles, don't you? Like kind of everywhere, but you're actually not measuring what's working and what's not. So, there might be one area that's really working, but you're doing 5 different things and you can cut the 4 things and just do one. And how much easier would that be?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, here's the irony, because, this is the podcast called Leveraged and Loving It. And I had an epiphany in the last couple of days that we are not leveraging and loving this podcast enough.
Yes. How funny.
Can we just all take a moment to laugh at how funny that is? Because seriously, I was just like, oh, Renee, what
Take
are
my
you
own
doing?
medicine.
Can you just drink the Kool-Aid already?
Yes. Isn't it funny? Like, it's so easy to see in others, but sometimes for yourself, it's, the hardest thing.
This podcast is almost 3 years old and we have a huge loyal fan base who totally love it. And I just do not talk about this podcast enough. It is like, I just went and I looked at the Facebook page and I was like, oh my goodness, I have not promoted this Facebook page. No one even knows it exists. I don't have I had 0 reviews on it. I've now got more reviews on it, but I had 0 reviews on the podcast page on Facebook.
Yeah. And I think
I just thought, what am I doing?
I'm crazy.
What am I actually doing?
Well, I think
if you are a massive fan of Leveraged and Loving It, I'm going to say it right now. Please jump onto iTunes, give us a rating and review, and please jump on the Facebook page for Leveraged and Loving It, and also give us a review because, hey, the world needs to know how awesome this podcast is. We've got guests like Melanie Colling.
Absolutely. Woohoo! And I think we were talking before we started the podcast just about like streamlining our business, haven't we? Like, we've gone big and then we're like, no, cut it back, and it is all about leveraging. Like, you've got stuff there, use it. Like, you don't
I've already got this amazing asset being this podcast, yet, I'll run off and do 1,000 other things. It's like, hold on a second, you're already doing this massive big thing that has so much more potential than what you're realizing.
But that's a creative thing to do. Just keep creating new things because that's what you do.
It is so, because the creator in me goes after shiny objects.
Yes, it's hard not to, but you need to just be corralled, directed. One creation at a time, okay? Yeah, no, please, no, don't make me.
All right, so why should we be more connected? I know I love what you were saying actually about the connected economy, and it does tie into something that I heard a while back, which was making me think, because if you think about AI and the way that technology is replacing a lot of jobs, and there's, I guess for many people there's fear associated with that, and think, well, what job could I possibly do? I think the one place that we can't be replaced by robots and computers is connections.
Absolutely.
Human relationships. So the thing that will be valued in the future, if you want to future-proof yourself, then connection is so important. That can't be replaced.
And it's so funny because years ago in corporate world, it was, if you focused on soft skills, as they used to call it, like people skills, everybody used to take the mickey, soft skills. But now it's like they're the skills that everybody is going to need, because computers can do a hell of a lot of stuff, but they can't form relationships. They can't form connections, and they can get your business so far, but it's the personal relationships with people that you'll still need to nurture, create, that's to move your business forward. So that will never go away.
No, absolutely.
So soft skills are back. Woo.
Go, yay, the soft skills. Says me, who now will need to go and hibernate under a doona from 2 days of podcast recording.
That's okay. Then you can create something else.
Yeah, that's right. Awesome. All right. So tell us then, how can we be more connected? What are the keys to success here when it comes to being a connected and in-demand business leader?
So I think it's really about being clear. So it's clear on who you are and what you're going out, or who you need to connect with, and what you're kind of asking for in your connection. So first of all, it's about having clarity of purpose. So, you know, what's your purpose? What are you doing? What are you doing in your business? Is that clear to people? Because the purpose is the one thing that will get people attracted to you, and they'll connect with you because they'll either have a shared purpose, you know, shared values around that, or they'll really resonate with your purpose. And you need to be loud and proud with that and say, this is why I do business, and this is why I want to do what I do, and this is how I want to make a difference. So it's about having that front and center of your message. You know, why do I get up every morning? Like, everybody should be able
because
to
signature systems are business porn.
Yeah. Awesome. Woo-hoo. And you want to share it with everybody.
Yeah, like, don't you know how awesome these things are?
Exactly. You need to get on board.
Get with the program.
And then it's about having, you know, a credible story. So why you? Why is someone going to come, you know, and connect with you, and why are you the person that can help them with that, you know, problem, or provide the solution. Then about having a clear brand. So, you know, make sure that you stand out. And one thing that I really say to people, and it's so simple, is, you know, we're all on social media and we're across many platforms, but just having a consistent look and feel across all platforms, like have the same profile picture. So everyone knows, oh yeah, Renee, there's Renee, there's Renee, there's Renee, like their LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, and they know it's you across all of the things. And it's just, people are so short of time. You know, that doesn't even have to be a logo or colors or whatever, you know, people get all worked up about that, but it's like just simple things like having the same profile picture across everything. People know it's you. You know, then you can get into messaging and all that kind of stuff. So having a, you know, a clear brand is really important. And then it's all about community. So finding other people that you know, want to get on board. You know, again, they'll connect with your purpose, they'll connect with you and your story, and it's about taking those people and collecting them along the journey, but also engaging them. Like, people collect people and say, I'm going to start a Facebook group and I'm going to get 1,000 people in my group, but then they don't do anything with them. And it's like, talk to them, and you know, those kind of people will give you feedback, and you know, they'll help support you, and they'll be your cheerleaders, and they'll also give you feedback when it's not working, and, you know, help you direct you. And you can create a movement through that. And it's so easy these days to do it, you know, through all the social media platforms that we've got access to. But again, you've got to be clear on, you know, those three things: your purpose, your story, and your brand, before you can build a community and attract those people. And then you need to focus on your connection strategy. So, you know, where am I at in my business? Who do I want to help? Who do I need to connect with? What's my strategy to connect with them? So, you know, if you're a professional expert, it might be, I'm just going to go on LinkedIn and Facebook, and all that stuff's really nice, but I'm not going to focus on that for now. I'm just going to use LinkedIn, and that's my strategy, and don't overcomplicate anything else. You know, it'll be a different strategy if you're looking for team members. It'll be a different strategy if you're looking for partners. It'll be a different strategy if you're looking for investors, because they're all in different places. And there'll be different messages that you want to send to all of those different people. So it's having that strategy: what's going to work for me? Who do I need to connect with? Where are they? Where do I find them? And then lastly, it's a compelling offer. You know, why are they going to work with you, or why they want to connect with you? They're probably getting, like you know, you get pitched to, you know, all the time to say, hey, can I be on this awesome Leverage and Loving It podcast? And you're like, oh God. But, you know, there'll be one person that goes, that, you know, you hear from, and you're like, they sound really awesome, because they've got a compelling offer. They've sold themselves to you. And you know that you want to speak to them because they've hooked you in. So it's like, what's your compelling offer? Why are people going to want to connect with you? How can you stand out from the crowd, from other people? So once you've got all of those things, then it gets easier to connect. And you kind of, then we talk about flipping the switch from action to attraction. Instead of you going out and looking for all these people, then they'll start coming to you. And you've seen that with your podcast, is you've gone out and you've done your podcast, and now people are coming to you and saying, hey, can I be on your podcast?
Yes.
You know, and that's the kind of switch that you want to be able to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Now let's make the switch now and just pivot in the conversation onto more on the podcast stuff, because, you know, that's what your business is based around. What advice, like, well, firstly, why would someone who is listening want to be a guest on a podcast? So, you know, I'm sure there are lots of people in the audience who listen to podcasts, but they've never been a guest on a podcast, or they've done one or two, but they're not really using it as a strategy. Why is it a great strategy?
It's the best strategy because a podcast, you're having a conversation like you and I are having, and we're just asking a series of questions and not selling anything. We're not pitching anything. We're just sharing information and doing it in a conversational way, which is great. Podcasting is also, you get to know someone on a deeper level because you're hearing them and you're getting their personality through. So you'll know whether you want to connect with them or you resonate with them, for example.
Whether you think they're hilarious like me.
Exactly, which is why you've got such a following. Like, can I just say, it's the...
Can you just tell my husband how funny I am? Because he doesn't agree with the rest of you. Everybody send an email to my husband and tell him how freaking funny I am.
Just say, she's so funny. That's all. We're going to spam him now.
Everyone spam him. That would make my day. If you want to give me a Christmas present, totally send messages to my husband, Anthony Hasseldine, and tell him how funny I am. Oh my God, that would just...
Put his email below in the show notes. We can all do it. Or thing you'll be like...
I'm just trying to think. I'm like, should I put his email? Like, he will kill me.
He'll kill you. But you were thinking about it for 1 minute there. I love that.
There's got to be a way of like getting these messages to him.
But the coolest thing is that you're leveraging each other's networks. So the host is going to share your interview with their network. You're going to share it with your network, which is a value to the host. And when we make the connection, we share it with our experts on our network as well. So you're getting 3 paths of connection to other networks, and you're building your credibility, you're building your authority, you're talking about what you know, your subject matter, and you can use the content of that podcast as social media collateral. So, take the audio, transcribe it using Rev, use the text, make social media snippets, pull out quotes, all that kind of stuff. Like, you've got all this collateral that you've just blurted out in your mouth. You don't have to sit there and write a blog. You've just talked about it, like create the blog from that. So it's like, it's maximizing your time, but it's getting you out there in front of more people, and you're just leveraging, other people's. You've been running for 3 years. I come on and talk to yours. You'll share it with your network. I don't know who's out there, but someone might resonate with what I'm doing, and they might go, oh yeah, I need to find out more about her. I'll share it with mine, and people go, oh, I've heard Mel on that podcast, and Renee, I like what she does. I want to go and get my business models. Like, I need help with my business models.
Yes.
That's how simple it is. And you're just having a conversation with someone.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's totally win-win because, yes, me as the host, I'm getting introduced to your audience, and then you as the guest, you're getting introduced to my audience. So, it needs to be a win-win. And on that, like, as the guest as well, the host does all the work. Well, actually my team, but, host business... It's on their side. Like, you turn up, you show up, answer my questions, and then you're done, right? Whereas my team then has to do all the production behind the scenes, all that sort of stuff, right? So, as the guest, like, you're totally leveraging someone else's operation. So it's really, really, it's really, really easy for a guest to be on a podcast. So, in that, it's like tick, tick, tick. Yes, awesome. But having said that as well, I do want to say, and I'm sure you tell your clients this as well, Melanie, is that be a good guest.
Yes, be a good guest. Yes.
So tell us what a good guest does, Melanie.
A good guest, and we make sure they do this. They show up. They turn up on time when they're meant to. They fill in the form, answer the questions. They do all the pre-work that's needed for the host to prep, because if you don't know somebody personally, you need to know something about them so that you can prep your questions, etc., and so that you're prepared. So, make sure you do all your prep work, you fill out the questions, you answer everything that the host needs from you, you turn up on time. But the most important thing is that you promote the podcast post doing the interview. Like, that's such the biggest thing.
And it's just good manners.
Exactly. And why wouldn't you? I mean, it's crazy, but we make sure that we send all the links to our guests when they've been on the podcast from the podcast host, or we create them, and we also add extra social media snippets, those kind of things that we give to the guest. We make it easy for them to post so that it's not time consuming, but we give them all the tools to be able to do that, so they make sure they they do their bit as well.
Yes. And you would have seen also, because I know I've had some of your clients on my show already, that my team already does all that stuff. Like we give our guests the images, we write copy for them, we like go put this on Facebook, put this on Twitter, put this on here, put this on there.
Yep.
Like we make it a no-brainer. So, I'm so lucky because Stevie Schaefer, our general manager, is just brilliant at getting all that stuff done. She's
that's right. And the easier you can make it for people, the more that they'll go and do it. But like we've worked with some awesome hosts like yourself that are so organized that you'll get this email and you'll have all the links, here's your tweet, blah, blah, and all you've got to do is cut and paste and do it. It's so simple. But the other cool thing that's happened to some of our clients is that they'll be in a podcast and the podcast host becomes their client. Because they'll go, oh God, I really need what you're talking about. Like, that sounds awesome. Can you do that for me? So that's the cool thing. And, we see that happening more and more, that, they've built the connection, they're having a conversation, they understand what each of them are offering, and they're like, I need a bit of that. So, you just don't know where it's going to lead you. And I think that's the exciting thing about, once you connect with someone, you don't even know where it will go.
No, absolutely. And it's, to me, that's one of the main reasons I love having this podcast, because to me, I feel like it's the beginning of a collaboration in many senses.
Yep.
Because it gives me an opportunity to say to someone who, I think, oh, this person, is someone who I could potentially collaborate with. How about I offer them a guest spot on my podcast?
Yeah, get to know them.
We can get to know each other, feel each other out, see if, this is going anywhere. And oftentimes, it'll lead to something else down the track. And it makes it easy for me as the host as well to be able to give something first, because it is a win for the guest to be on a show, right? So it's nice for me as a host to be able to go, I can give you this thing, I can give you access to my amazing audience.
Yep.
And that's how we can start our relationship. And I love opening a relationship like that.
Exactly. And that's why podcasting and having your own podcast is so powerful, because you're actually inviting people in, you're providing value to them. Like, come and talk on my podcast, I'll promote you to my network and, showcase what you're doing. Like, how much easier is it to start a conversation with someone by saying, would you like to be interviewed on my podcast, rather than like, do you want to have a phone call, or can we do a strategy session, or, like blasting them on social media and all that kind of stuff, which is really impersonal. It's saying, actually, I'm going to add value to you. Yeah, I know that you'll add value. I know you'll add value to my audience, because we want to create win-win-win, which is win for the guest, the host, and the audience. Yeah, I know you'll add value to them, and let's start a conversation, because who knows where it might lead. So it's such a nice way to do that introduction.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing as well, because I know, in the back of my mind, I think I need to be getting on more podcasts. I really should be doing that. And then I think, oh, but I don't have time to go and like do all the research and chase them and do all that stuff and find which is the right fit and blah, blah. Like, it is time consuming. So it's totally smart to leverage someone like you and say, hey, can you just find me all the podcasts and just hook me up and fix it and just make all the magic happen?
Yep.
So
exactly. And then you don't have to worry. You don't have the headspace to worry about all that.
Yeah, exactly. Outsource it, people. Talk to Melanie.
Yes.
Get booked on shows.
Yeah, just hurry up.
And listen to what she says about how to do it right.
Yeah.
Seriously, don't come and book in a podcast episode on my show and then like link to a URL and say, oh, here's the answer to your question. Link to my meeting. No.
Yeah,
that is a big fat no.
Yeah,
and cancel your interview.
Not good manners. Like, be a good guest. That's the main thing. And
please be a good guest. Yes. Think about how much work I am doing as the host and my team are doing, to produce the podcast. Make it easy, because if you're a good guest, I will tell other hosts about how awesome you are, and then you'll get on other shows.
Exactly. That's right. Because once you're a podcast host, that's you meet other podcast hosts and you know them, and everybody talks, and
people
exactly.
Talk.
So
people totally talk. Yeah. Don't be a diva.
Yeah. That's right.
Like, oh my God, that person was such a drama queen.
Yeah.
Not on my show.
Yeah. Thanks, but no thanks.
That's right. Awesome. All right. If people want to find out more about who you are and what you do, Melanie, where can they go?
They can go to expertsonair.fm is our website. And there's a number of different things on there, but it'll tell you if you want to be a guest. Also, if you've got a podcast already and you're a host and you want guests. So there's a page each for that. And my business partner, Brett's also doing some training on how to create your own podcast. So if you want to learn how to do it yourself, or you can go, I don't even want to do that. Just do it for me. right, you can be completely hands off and go, I don't want to even think about that. So we've got different options there. And you know, if you want to use podcasting and then go, I really want to know how to use this and build a strategy around it in my business, then we can help you, you know, doing that as well. So expertsonair.fm is the best place to go. I'm also on Facebook. So I run a meetup called Melbourne Podcasters. So if you're in Melbourne, you want to come along, we just have a chat about everything podcasting. It's really cool because we've got a good mix of people, and we've got a Facebook group called Global Podcasters Experts on Air. So you can come and join us there and have conversation, all things podcasting and connection.
Love it. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Melanie. It's been so much fun talking to you. I'm just like, whoop, whoop, having a good time here. Party time. See, Melanie is clearly a people person because I'm like, oh yeah, so much fun.
Thanks so much, Renee. It's been awesome to chat with you. Just love what you do. And this podcast, I'm so proud of you going for 3 years. Woohoo!
Thank you. You are listening to Leverage and Loving It, and you've been doing it for almost 3 years now. Good on you. I'll be back next week. Mwah!
For all the downloads and links mentioned in this episode, head to shareyourpassion.com.au.